Edward Snowden's autobiography gets censored in China. Trump promises he won't say the word cheat. And a World Bank deal in Xinjiang. What could go wrong? That and more on this week's China Uncensored. This is China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This week's China news headlines. Edward Snowden, the former NSA whistleblower. Guess what? He has some thoughts about democracy and privacy. But his new autobiography, Permanent Record, seems to be missing those parts in the Chinese edition. And I understand the Chinese Communist Party's dilemma here with the Chinese edition. On the one hand, you have the autobiography of the guy who exposed massive corruption in the United States. That's good. But on the other hand, he advocates for democracy and internet privacy. That's not so good. But Snowden has come up with a novel solution. He wants to crowdsource a corrected and unabridged simplified Chinese version to be published for free online. Sure, he won't make money off of it, but then again, he wasn't making money off the Chinese version anyway. China's paramount leader is Xi Jinping. His title is General Secretary of the Communist Party. He also gave himself the title of President, but don't call him that. That's what a congressional panel recommends in a new report, because calling Xi Jinping a president makes it sound like there's democracy in China. Thank you. I've been saying this for years. In fact, that's why I came up with a new word last year to describe Xi Jinping. He's not a president. He's not a dictator. He's a presentator. Presentator. Put that one in your report. On to the U.S.-China trade war. President Trump spoke at the Economic Club of New York, and he says he's got China right where he wants them.
And they are dying to make a deal. We're the ones that are deciding whether or not we want to make a deal. We're close. A significant phase one trade deal with China could happen.
But if that doesn't happen, then Tariff Man will, well, you know.
If we don't make a deal, we're going to substantially raise those tariffs. No one has manipulated numbers better or taken advantage of the United States more. And I won't use this word, cheated. I will not say the word cheated. But nobody's cheated better than China, but I will not say that.
Okay, everyone, that's just between us. Cheated is off the record. Got it? What is on the record is this message to China. The U.S. has sailed another warship through the Strait of Taiwan, which is honestly kind of a mixed signal. Yeah, it shows that the U.S. is ready to defend their ally, but it also means that if the U.S. can sail a warship through the Taiwan Strait, China can too. But China has bigger things to worry about. For example, the plague. Yes, the plague, as in the Black Death that wiped out a third of Europe. Now today we have antibiotics that can treat it, and this was only 2 people, according to Chinese authorities. So that's no reason to panic, right? Or is it the perfect reason to panic? Remember, this is the regime that covered up the SARS outbreak in 2003. According to the New York Times, fears are mounting in China over a possible outbreak of the disease. Residents are asking why the authorities took so long to diagnose and disclose the problem. Don't worry, the problem was short-lived. Not the plague problem, the people asking questions problem. In good old SARS tradition, Chinese censors ordered online news companies to block and control online discussion. And that, my friends, is how you breed an atmosphere of paranoia. This Australian researcher is struggling to get his PhD, and he blames China's influence in Australia. James Jing has been teaching at Perth's Curtin University for 12 years, but according to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, he said he had spent years unsuccessfully trying to convince more senior members of Curtin's academic staff to supervise his research into censorship and the Chinese social media platform WeChat. But they've never given their approval. They haven't rejected it either, so Jing is in academic limbo. I wonder why they wouldn't want to sponsor research into censorship in WeChat. Could it have anything to do with the fact that WeChat sponsors events and programs at Curtin University? Nah. The World Bank is scaling back on a project in China's Xinjiang. You know, the place where the Chinese Communist Party has built concentration camps for over 1 million Uyghur people, and has sent men to sleep in the same beds as Uyghur women while their husbands are in those concentration camps. Yeah, that's Xinjiang. There were allegations that a $50 million World Bank loan would be used for these concentration camps. The World Bank couldn't confirm that, but then decided that because of the risks and difficulty in monitoring how the money would be used, the scope and footprint of the project is being reduced. Why the World Bank even considered giving money to a regime that has concentration camps is beyond me. Meanwhile, China Uncensored struggles to survive because YouTube demonetizes pretty much every video we make. And the World Bank has not offered us even 1 cent. Maybe if I start putting people in concentration camps. But fortunately, I don't need the World Bank. I've got my wonderful China Uncensored 50-cent army, fans who support the show on the crowdfunding website Patreon. So, as a thank you, I answer a question from one of them at the end of some of my episodes. Today's question comes from Logan. How long did it take the West to forget about the Tiananmen Square massacre and the subjugation of Tibet? Was there any meaningful political actions taken then? How were those actions compared to what is being done for Hong Kong now? I'm sorry to say, the West forgot about the Tiananmen Square massacre almost immediately. Well, not the people of the West, the governments of the West. Less than a month after the massacre, then U.S. President George Bush Sr. sent a secret delegation to China. The goal was to continue the U.S. relationship with Chinese leaders. Freeing Tibet, meanwhile, was a big thing in the 1990s, thanks to Richard Gere and the Beastie Boys. Oh, and the Dalai Lama. But then Hollywood realized that China has 1.4 billion people. And the Communist Party saw that the same international community that condemned the Tiananmen Square massacre and who called for a free Tibet had completely forgotten about it by the 2008 Beijing Olympics. It taught the party that they can literally get away with murder, and sooner or later, the West will be on their doorstep, ready for access to that sweet, sweet China market. It actually reminds me of what a guest on our China Unscripted podcast told me. Captain Jim Fennell, the former Director of Intelligence and Information Operations for the U.S. Pacific Fleet, talks about what he calls the Decade of Concern. The Decade of Concern is the idea that sometime over the next decade, China will invade Taiwan. That way, when the 100-year anniversary of the People's Republic of China rolls around in 2049, there will have been time for the West to have also forgotten about that, and be eager to travel to Beijing for the celebrations. But Hong Kong may be changing this plan. U.S. lawmakers have passed legislation supporting the Hong Kong protesters. So maybe at least the United States is beginning to wise up to the true nature of the Chinese Communist Party. Thanks for your question. And thanks to everyone for watching. Remember, we rely on your support to keep making the show. So if you can, head over to patreon.com/China Uncensored to contribute $1 or more per episode. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.